Hi, Lisa Soland here again with the Writer's Desk. I have the privilege to sit with my assistant. We've been working so hard, we haven't had an opportunity to talk with you, the public, about the project, but we get to now. And this is part 2 of a series, and we'll talk more at a later date. But I wanted to talk with you. You were just about to share this concept of his schedule. What was it that you were saying?
Well, he talks about when I think it's in Paris, he's talking about going to all the shows like you mentioned before and being able to take in the sights and being there and taking advantage of the situation. And one of the letters he talks about, I'm writing so much I should make it a book. And I'm laughing as I'm typing thinking that's exactly what we're doing here. He talks about needing as much time in the day and he has it all planned out and he's going to do 4 hours of reading and 4 hours of study and exercise and just all of this, and it's like, how many hours a day is that? And I calculated and it was 24, but it's like we're all given the same amount of time, but man, he was really diligent and making time to write this down, because how appropriate and wonderful is it to be able to sit back and read the pages of history firsthand.
Yes.
I love that.
And to learn about him as a person has been inspiring to me because of his intentionality. The two of these people, Art and Dottie, which I'm going to probably be putting it into a play when I'm done with the 2 volumes. And it will be 2 volumes because we're up to about 1,000 pages at this point. So that should give you an idea of how hard we've been working. But it's worth it. You know what I mean? The motivation's there because the material is worth it. These weren't just 2 ordinary people. Their gifting included their ability to write and to express themselves so well in the written word. So I started when I was getting ready to open the play, the one-man show Sergeant York, starring Greg Helton. But you came on board, thank God that you did. You've just been amazing for me.
Thank you.
Amazing. I can never be able to thank you enough for your help. But you came on board, and I asked her this morning, and she knew the exact day.
February 4th, 2020.
And you started to type.
I started to type.
And how has it changed your life, just participating and typing those letters?
Well, other than my typing skill has definitely improved. Like I said before, getting exposed to the history firsthand. This is like a love novel, history, culture, everything kind of tied up into one, and you are sitting on the edge of your seat. And it's like I wake up early in the morning so I can type, and I stay up late at night to type because I want to get through the story. I'm just like, it's better than any movie out there, and it's truly going to be a great book that you can go back and see the copies of the letters, associate the pictures to the people that he's talking about, and to also just rehearse in your mind the history.
Yeah, it's so good to hear you say that, because as a writer, oftentimes, as a publisher and editor as well, I'll take on a project, right? And I am absolutely sure this has incredible value. Now, it might have a limited audience, but I know there's a lot of World War II buffs and also war in general. People like to collect these things, and it helps them put the puzzle together of what actually took place in the Pacific and on the Europe front. And, so I knew that in the beginning when I told Dottie that I would do it. But you guys all out there, you writers will understand this. As I go forward and the work seems unsurmountable, I start to begin to doubt. And that's one thing that Tonya has really helped me with, is that. So, okay, let me just again ask you. So we published the book. The book is released, Climbing Angel Publishing. The title, Art Bushing, His Diary, Letters, and Photographs of World War II, and it is going to be 2 volumes. What type of a person is going to be interested in reading this, do you think? You're interested, and you weren't even a history buff.
No, and the neat thing about it is that, there's so much. I mean, I'm not from Knoxville, Tennessee, so being able to see the pages of history back, 70 years ago, what was going on in this city has kind of helped me get to know the town a little better. It's just really neat. I think I told you that during the time where I was typing about World War II, my son was learning about the same thing. And he texted me from school and he said, "Mom, they just talked about Sergeant York today." And that was really cool for me to be able to share that experience with my son, who's taking the class right now as a junior. So it's neat that it kind of all came together into one thing, to being able to share this with the younger generation, because I think there's so many things about it that become distant. It's a distant memory. Yes, that's what happened, but hearing the stories from the firsthand account makes it come to life even much more. It makes you feel like this is a relative of mine over there, you know?
Yes. Well, if it's true that everything is based on relationship, everything is based on relationship. I talk about this all the time. As writers, if you want to have a successful business as a writer, you have to build relationships within the business, and it's no different than learning. You know, I think a good teacher would cause their students to fall in love with the characters, and then the characters take you through the lesson. Not necessarily the teacher, but the characters themselves. And the characters in this case are Dottie and Art Bushing.
Well, I can only imagine. I know he was professor at Maryville, and
for 50 years he taught at Maryville College.
What an honor it would have been to be in his class.
Yeah.
He, was able to talk about all of what he saw and did firsthand.
Yes.
That's pretty amazing.
And he was intentional as a professor. He cared so much. I think there's a lot to learn from history, but there's also a lot to learn from people who care about people. And we're doing a lot of learning with this project, and we'll talk with you again in part 3. Thank you for tuning in.